Listen, anytime, any place, anywhere, I'll fight you in your backyard. Like a dumb Klitschko, I'll beat you, you bum. You're a bum.
I want to unify. Is he up for the challenge? Like I said, I can play war. You know, this is not a battle, this is war because I was born in this.
Why am I sitting there like a spare dick away? While you are sitting in your mum's spare rooms, just tickling your bollocks.
Come and see me, baby. No more hiding, no more ducking, no more dodging, no more excuses. Let's make the fight happen. Let's see who's the best. I know I'm the best. Are you up for the test?
I'm through. Hey, put somebody else up and give me an interview. What are you talking about? You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
Negative. I'm good. I beat Polly. I left with his belt and his girl.
Fucking was too fast. But it wasn't so much about, it was just that he was so fucking fast. Fast.
Amazingly fast.
Fucking amazingly fast. I was like, I thought Freddie was in there fucking hitting me too. So.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, obviously podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Going to be talking all things boxing today, some controversial topics. We have the Wilder Povetkin lawsuit update. Spence Porter is officially pay-per-view per Mike Coppinger, which I think we should trust at this point when it comes to PBC knowledge. Plus just a litany of other topics. WBC shenanigans, Lomachenko, Campbell, purse bid this Friday. It's looking like we're heading there. Just a lot to talk about, debate, discuss with my full panel here today. Plus, fights that happened last night, this weekend. Just a litany of topics. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. But without further ado, let's get to this full panel. I'm joined, as usual, on these sort of midday shows, night shows over there in the UK, by the one and only, the second cousin, twice removed of Sir Eddie, Mr. Robbie Hearns. Rob, how you doing, man?
I am doing good, thank you. All good, ready to go. Lots of topics to discuss. I'm sure you're going to be on some kind of a rant at some point, but you know, linking it over to Fu, you know, Hakuna Matata.
Oh, before we go to Fu with the Hakuna Matata, Rob, you might have a better shirt than him, obviously, just because of what you're wearing. Yes, shout out to that. Air horns for that beautiful thing. Shout out to Vicky, first lady of MCR.
She is our t-shirt maker.
Still waiting on mine.
Again, Fu, you needed some of your address. I have a box full of t-shirts. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They're not as good as that one, but they're t-shirts. Anyways, Hakuna Matata, Fu, how you doing, man?
What a wonderful day.
And for our podcast listeners, Fu is wearing a Lion King t-shirt from circa 1995.
And it looks kind of small. I think it was from when he was a young warthog.
Yo, the fact that everyone here has like all those lyrics on point. Shout out to you guys. I'm impressed. Yeah. I'm in a good mood.
It's all about the Lion King. No, I mean, show's gonna be great. We got a lot of topics to talk about, and obviously, you know, I think we're gonna recap some fights from the weekend. So. Be a lot of fun here. No, I thought I saw one of them on here.
We have one fight. Yeah, we have one fight that happened yesterday, which is weird.
This morning.
Was it this morning?
Was it this morning? Oh, the Ioka fight was this morning.
I don't know, man. I saw it online. I was like, oh, I should go watch it. Went over to UFC Fight Pass, which God bless them. They're having a lot of boxing content recently. Great fight. We're gonna get to that, obviously. But we talked about the other fights this weekend on our weekend review show. We're going to preview this weekend's action, even though not a lot of amazing fights. We do have a underrated Golden Boy main event, though, that we're going to get to. But digressing, let's get to the topics of the day. Let's get first, obviously, the main topic, Spence Porter, the marquee fight, sort of the day, news of the day. None of this is shocking. Mike Coppinger coming out. Let me get the sources up. Mike Coppinger saying, breaking sources tell that Athletic Boxing that Errol Spence Jr. and Shawn Porter have finalized a deal for welterweight title unification showdown this fall. Still no specific date or venue on pay-per-view. Going to be a great action fight. Details to follow on The Athletic. Blah blah blah. Fu, I'll switch over to you first because you're a Dallas guy. I would say you're an Errol Spence fan. Like, you like Errol Spence. Maybe more so than the rest of the panel, just because of the Dallas affiliation. This doesn't bother me, just to get my opinion right out there. Like, I don't care about this being pay-per-view. Of all the fights on the docket for PBC schedule, this is the one, and Pacquiao-Thurman, where I'm completely okay with it being pay-per-view. It harkens back to the mid-2000s era of welterweight pay-per-views. I'm completely okay with it. Fu, does this bother you in any way? I know there has been some backlash to this, but not nearly as much as maybe Wilder Ortiz, Garcia versus Garcia. Great tagline, by the way. Great hashtag. That's going to be. But Fu, Spence Porter, pay-per-view, does it upset you?
No, I mean, it's two of maybe top 3, top 5 welterweights, and that's the money division. Mm-hmm. There's no reason that anyone should be really upset with this other than having to buy it sucks. But it's much better in terms of, if you're just on paper, competitive fight. This is much better than Mikey versus Spence, Mm-hmm. I do think Porter doesn't have the star power that Mikey has, so I wonder how this is going to do in terms of sales. But I guess you got to test the waters, right? They had a pretty successful pay-per-view. Spence is a big name, and at 147, you give it a shot. It's kind of the glamour division, So
agreed. Rob, your thoughts? Obviously, Spence Porter pay-per-view. Obviously, not going to be pay-per-view in the UK. Most likely, it's going to be on ITV4 in all theory. But in your mind, is this fight pay-per-view worthy?
I don't know. It just seems like they're trying to find a fight for every month for you guys to pay for. I don't know. It seems to me it's like just gone out of control this year. It started at the end of
Can we somehow separate the pay-per-view market issue from Spence Porter pay-per-view? Is that possible? Not saying that we should, but just like throwing that question out there. Like, can we even do that? Like, is that a worthwhile thing to do to actually separate those issues, or are they so innately combined and connected that you can't separate the pay-per-view market debate and Spence Porter being pay-per-view worthy?
I mean, look, bottom line is they're having to do these on pay-per-view to pay these fighters what they're kind of asking for. Mm-hmm. And it looks as if this one has been kind of along the lines of, wait, so Thurman, Pacquiao, yeah, okay. Wait, Garcia. Oof. Both, Errol Spence beat Mikey Garcia.
Shawn Porter beat Danny.
Yeah, and the two winners have gone on and were at first not having a pay-per-view, but the two losers were having a pay-per-view. But it looks as if they've, Kenny came out the other week and said he hasn't signed it. He's had the contract for 4 weeks. He hasn't signed it yet. But I don't know whether this has turned out that there was some haggling over and wanting it to be pay-per-view. I mean, good on them if it is, if that's what it was. Whether it was Shawn or Errol said, wait a minute, how's that work then? We want this pay-per-view or whatever. But like you say, out of all of them, this is probably, it's unifying the welterweight division. This is probably pay-per-view worthy. And this will be the true indication of whether Errol Spence is a star or is the draw that I've been hearing from certain sides of the, boxing Twitter. Because no disrespect to Shawn, but I don't think he's really a draw. So this is all on Errol as far as numbers. With obviously with Mikey Garcia, he brought a demographic, he brought a fan base, and helped get that pay-per-view up to, what was it, just over 400,000 or whatever?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
With Spence. So for me, it feels like this is a lot on Errol Spence as far as what this will do. And I'm not convinced this is going to do great numbers.
What do you mean by not great numbers? What do you think it does? Range. Give me a range.
Like 200.
Oh, that's too low.
You think low?
I think that's low. For this reason, I agree that Porter is not a draw. He isn't. Look at his Showtime numbers; they aren't good. Even his numbers when he went on terrestrial TV were never really good. The only times he got good numbers were when he was with a name that was doing good numbers. Keith Thurman, for example, that card did decently well in on what was it? Was that CBS? Yeah, that was CBS. That was like 3+ million average. But a lot of that's due to Thurman in a way, who is a draw, who is a star in air quotes some fashion, to some degree. However, I am really curious to what Fu has said and sort of alluded to, like the test of how big is Spence's star power now. Like how big was that Spence Mikey moment, and just the overall tons of promotion and advertising that Fox put into Errol Spence. I think that might carry over in a way where if, let's say, we had a Spence Shawn Porter pay-per-view without that Mikey fight, without that success, it would do 200,000 buys. I don't think it would do decent numbers. But I think with the Mikey pay-per-view sort of success attached to it, and obviously I think we're going to see this be heavily pushed as well. I think everything with Errol Spence now is going to have the full PBC push behind him. He is one of their key guys now, obviously. He's going to be treated as such. I think we could see 300 to 400, I think still around that mark. Not really an improvement, but staying on course with a lesser sort of draw as a B-side. I think that's what we're going to see. And that's going to be successful for them, in my opinion. Fu, do you have anything to say?
I also think that PBC knows what they have at 147, having that whole division kind of on lockdown right now, and it being such a big money division. We're going to see a lot of, I think, these guys matched up against each other to bring in the revenue that PBC that they need to keep, making what the amount of money they need to stay on TV, right? So, like you've seen it with Wilder. They're obviously trying to make him as happy as possible. They're trying to bring in, more heavyweights. I feel like to give him the names he needs on his resume. And I feel like this is going to be a division where, Spence, Thurman, Garcia, now Garcia, I guess, is staying at 147. So they've got some big names here. Porter to really use.
And they have like
build
and
that Spence name.
And they have like bottom half, top 10, 15, 20 guys that they could fill out in cards and be B-sides for tune-ups and stuff like that are respectable tune-ups.
Yeah, I mean, and even going from here, I mean, Spence could dominate Porter and go right into a Danny Garcia pay-per-view, or, like there's a name there for him to use, to continue to build. Even, the Pacquiao Thurman fight, obviously that winner hopefully is going to unify, at that point. So I feel like this is going to do better than we think. I'm not a fan of all of these pay-per-views doing well because it's going to continue to put more pay-per-views on the table. But at the same time, if that's what it takes to get the fighters paid, I just do. Part of me does hate that we are one of the only sports that continues to put ourselves behind like multiple barriers for people to be able to enjoy the sport, because as shitty as like the Fury fight was, I did have like 10 or 15 friends text me about what a spectacle it was, right? That don't even watch boxing. So the more opportunity to put boxing in front of people, the better. But I mean, the fighters have to be taken care of too.
I think, to sort of talk about the pay-per-view market for a second, and then we do have to sort of switch topics, so we have a lot to get to today. And callers 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. International callers, Skype, Mixed Combat Radio. Obviously, the next sort of slate of pay-per-views, we have Wilder Ortiz 2 in, what is that, August, September? Rob, when is that exactly?
Wilder Ortiz?
Yeah.
Tim Smith said November.
November, okay. We have Spence Porter on pay-per-view in the fall, so I'm thinking December, October, so not obviously the same month.
I would imagine, yeah.
It's going to be around, obviously, Wilder Ortiz too, and both are probably going to feed off of the NFL and Fox's coverage and just overall promotion, let's be honest. And then Mikey Garcia versus Danny Garcia. And is that official for a month yet? I think the last time I heard that was August.
Well, last I heard, Mikey denied that
the fight was happening.
Not that it was happening, but the talks were, the talks were even kind of happening, but I don't know. No smoke without fire. I don't see Cop putting it out there if it's not kind of.
So let's in theory say that Mikey Garcia versus Danny Garcia is factual. It's happening. It's pay-per-view, like it was first reported. I think we all agree that Mike Coppinger is probably right with these sources. He works for Fox and PBC, though he will be leaving post Pacquiao Thurman. But that means he has built-in sources, so I believe he's getting good information. Are we all in agreement on that?
Yes.
All right, so Mikey versus Danny is what, September, probably. September, October, November slate. Which one is, or do any of them bomb? Do we have a pay-per-view bomb finally in the PBC slate to change course? Because obviously, Crawford Khan was not a success. We know that. I think there's a reason why Crawford's sort of next fight has been quiet. It's because of that. Because they don't know how to handle Crawford's payout when he's not a pay-per-view guy. So Top Rank's already, I think, changing course. Are PBC going to change course? Are any of these pay-per-views going to fail in any of you guys' mind? Rob?
I just don't know what kind of number will be considered like oh, fuck, that's...
But let's say below 200,000 is a clear failure, right? I think we can all agree on that. Like below sub 200 is bad.
Yeah. I would say Garcia, if that was to be made and it is a pay-per-view. I just don't see it's not like, whether people think it'll bomb or not. Spence Porter, it's a welterweight unification fight.
It's a great fight.
Yeah, it's potentially a really great fight. Yeah. Obviously Wilder Ortiz. For me, it's not pay-per-view. It's apparently righting the wrongs.
It's a great fight, not pay-per-view worthy.
Yeah.
It's a great heavyweight fight.
Showtime, I'd be like, not that I'm paying for it, but I would be less like, oh my God, pay-per-view, really? It is, as much as I'm not bothered about seeing it again, because I felt, yes, there was the air quotes controversy or whatever, but he proceeded to go and knock him out, and Ortiz faded badly and he got knocked out. So to me, that's not. I'm not convinced that one's going to do great. I don't know that it bombs. But yeah, I'd say Garcia is maybe the one that could be like whoa. But maybe they know that in advance a little bit, but it's still whatever it generates, I guess. But
so you think, you sort of allude, like, you don't think even if that bombs, they're going to course correct? You think we're still going to get pay-per-views in 2020? Like, the PBC doesn't change their methodology in terms of what fights on pay-per-view and what fights aren't.
Well, 1 out of 12 ain't bad strike rate, is it?
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
It seems to be. And I'm just saying, I've seen some people saying, "Oh, $75, it's nothing." If it's good fights, it's good fights. But for some people, it isn't. I'm sure $75 to have a few hours TV watching some boxing isn't something they're like, "Oh yeah, no problem. Just keep putting pay-per-views on. I'll keep buying them." I don't know. As a market, we're asked so much to watch these sports. Subscriptions to premium network channels,
streaming
apps,
providers.
Look, you're now having to get Cops News via a $3 subscription. We were getting it all onto. I mean, he's still tweeting bits, but if
Mike, if you're listening right here, I am upset with you, okay? Keep all this shit behind the paywall, Mike. What are you doing? You're fucking up the business model, okay? I am paying for that, purely for you, Mike Coppinger. Rafi, I think you do great work, Rafi. I think you do fantastic articles, but you don't break news the same way that Mike Coppinger does. Lance, you're all right. You're a legend in the sport. Scorecards are trash, but I'm not paying for you, Lance. Mike.
Extra trash.
Mike, you break news. Keep that shit behind the paywall, my dude. What are you doing?
Mike's tweets need to be like, "Oh my God, you are not going to believe this,"
and then have the link to the fucking website.
Go over to
huge news breaking over on PBC. Huge news. You are not going to want to miss this.
Yeah, it's making me mad that I'm paying for that shit, low key. Because I'm just like,
but Potential Lunatic told me, because I was like, I know Matt subscribed to it, but I was thinking maybe I would, in case Matt's, I'd be able to keep and read through the articles myself. And he was like, "Why? Just wait till Michael Benson tweets all the details." Like 30 seconds later, I'm like, "Yeah, good point."
Yeah, because he does, at least at this point in time, because everyone hounded him, does give somewhat the sources to his tweets.
He does the tweet. 5 minutes later, then you get the link, the this, the that, the.
I just love when like it's Dan Rayfield and just puts at ESPN. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that shit. I think it's so petty. Anyways, digressing.
Pettiness.
Fu, pay-per-views. Do we think we see any course correction for 2020 if one of these next on the slate fail?
I don't think so.
Oh man, damn, guys.
Because here's the thing.
Rob, you told me to be positive. Shit, come on.
I missed it.
I'm not absolutely negative about this. What I think, I don't know. Here's my thing is that it seems like there is a consistent group of people that are going to buy these no matter what the fight is, right? There's because if you love the sport, you're just going to pay for them. It's us. It's the degenerates, right? They're like, no, we're not going to buy that. Not going to pay $75. And then next thing you know, it's like Saturday comes around. You want to see the fight. You just shell out the money,
But that's not true. I mean, we've seen like Crawford Khan fail, Triple G's, A side pay-per-views failed. Andre Ward, Kovalev failed. Like we've seen a lot of pay-per-views not be successful.
It just doesn't seem to be the case with what fights the PBC are putting on them.
But why is that though? It's not,
because I think they have a great fandom. I think honestly that's what I mean.
You weren't specific enough.
Sorry. Yeah. So like we consistently big up the UK for the support of their fighters, right? I believe the PBC has really strong fans that are willing to put up some money if it's necessary to see their fighters, right?
And we talk about this all the time. You have the UK fans, and then you have PBC fans. Like you really don't have American fans. You have PBC fans, and then you have like the very few like top rank zealots that exist under bridges and shit.
That like 100,000 that bought Crawford Khan.
Like that very random select few. And I'll be honest, most of that is probably just media.
Yeah,
people like me.
And
so I think none of these will do under 200,000. And then in addition to that, it's easy for them to redefine what success looks like on that model, right? You've seen it with everyone. Like they're renegotiating percentage points. So
UFC have done it too. It's not a PBC exclusive thing.
So I don't think we're ever going to run into a situation where they stop doing pay-per-views unless they go somehow to some form of an app model where you have a monthly subscription, for just the fights, and then they can just guarantee money to the fighters, which isn't out of the question. I mean, it's not out of the question that Showtime could put something out that is a boxing portion or sports portion of the programming that you would pay extra for. So I just think right now, this is the only way that they can keep their top fighters happy, while you got Tevin Farmer, who's maybe third or fourth best at 130 making, bank at DAZN. Like, realistically, let's be real about all those things. So, when you've got, not that Tevin Farmer is definitely, I think, wouldn't you guys say at least close to an A fighter right now? Maybe a B, like at the weight class.
Okay, I'll put it this way, Fu. If he fights Burchell or Javante, is he an A side?
No, but I mean like A level. I'm not saying A side.
Okay.
He's an A level fighter.
Yeah,
but he's getting buku money at DAZN.
Yes.
Like he's getting paid, and then you get these other fighters who aren't getting paid. So there's that pay-per-view model is going to stick until there's some alternative, because that's the only way they're going to keep these guys from leaving to go to ESPN or DAZN or somewhere where they're going to make $2-3 million a fight, no matter who they fight. So.
Agreed. Let's switch topics up into probably going to be me ranting.
Fu,
be
prepared. Be prepared.
Be prepared. Be
Jesus
very
fucking
prepared,
Christ, guys. Shout out to Jason Cruz. Is one of the best sort of combat sports lawyers to follow. From the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, ruling in favor of Povetkin and World of Boxing in the Deontay Wilder lawsuit. I still don't understand it. # sports law. The exact quote from the ruling as it's loading. Let's try to scroll down here.
Yeah, I 100% read that as like coleslaw, like sports law.
Oh, that's hilarious. Although a jury found that Povetkin ingested a banned substance, the bout agreement did not, by its terms, require that the fighters refrain from ingesting banned substances. I believe the exact wording of that bout agreement was should. You shouldn't take banned substances, I believe is the wording of the agreement. I might have it not exactly right with the other words, but I believe should was the specific phrasing word that the lawyer used as like, hey, it isn't specific language here that we can't take performance-enhancing drugs. And I just got to say, guys, I don't know if this is particularly a WBC issue, but for fuck's sake, I'm going to make it one. For all of those that have, for now, a year now, Rob, like how long has the clean boxing program been around?
Oh.
A year? 2 years?
I'll look it up.
Thank you. Look it up, please.
The mostly clean, somewhat.
And look, everyone knows that has followed me from Name Redacted channel to this channel. I've always been hypercritical of the clean boxing program for a litany of issues, namely transparency. And that's like a root cause of like a bunch of branching issues with the clean boxing program. But if somehow the WBC champion in a fight has in his contract that there's language that you can take performance-enhancing drugs, that there's an allowance of it. It just says you shouldn't. Don't do it, please. But, like, you can. That's the language of the contract. And, again, this is connected to a WBC clean boxing program fight. And for all the Wilder haters, take Wilder out of the equation. This is the WBC issue right now. This is a PD regulatory issue at this point in time. How in God's green fucking earth do you expect the premier sanctioning body to have a clean boxing program, to have this sort of language in it, and actually change the sport? So for all the PD zealots out there that are so strict when it comes to Canelo popping, whoever popping, but not Tyson Fury. No one's strict about Tyson Fury popping.
No one even brings it up.
No one brings it up, but digressing. Tabling that for maybe another fucking show. How in God's green earth is this allowed? How in God's green earth are we to expect any sort of innovation, improvement, progression in PD regulation when the, quote, best program around is a fucking fraud, is phony, is a lie? Again, guys, like at some point here, I feel like I'm just yelling in a fucking like paper bag and like no one's listening to me. The clean boxing program is not a true PD regulation program. And on top of that, VADA does have some issues. USADA does have some issues. Overall, the IOC and WADA have significant fucking institutional systemic issues. So this doesn't surprise me at all that Povetkin's able to weasel his way out of this. I'm just shocked that he's the first one to do it, to be quite honest. Because I guarantee you this language is in almost every fucking contract out there. And fighters are just, they're not aware. They don't have the lawyers ready on deck to read these contracts, and they aren't aware of this. So for anyone out there talking about sanctioning bodies and PD regulation and clean boxing program like it's the fucking savior, sit down. Stay in your lane. And if you want to get the nerve to talk, only call in. I don't want to hear you in my chat in the comment section on these videos. You have zero right to talk unless you call in and actually debate like a real person. Okay? Because it's pretty apparent what the clean boxing program is. A complete farce. I have nothing else to say about this. It's really unfortunate for, honestly, fighters that now have to deal with this. Like, every fighter now should be on notice that they need to look at all their contracts. They need to look at the clean boxing program contract or agreement and see exactly what they just signed up to and what exactly they are required and not required of.
Oh, for sure. It's when I saw it in the word, I was like, wait, oh my God, that's just incredible. It's just insane. Yeah, just a very weird situation, but I mean, the WBC were out there. Mauricio done a meet and greet with media, and he was talking about transparency, and all kinds of things. I mean, they're their situation on that World Boxing Super Series was about the standard of they couldn't. What was his wording? Something like sort of guarantee the standard of the officials. As it turned out, Robert Byrd, eventually tried to break up before the knockout blow, but at 74 years old, he took his time getting there. You know what I mean? But talking about transparency, I mean, I tweeted out today, then maybe you shouldn't have the CEO of Heyman Sports on your Supreme Council panel. If you're looking for that would be a start, right, for transparency. But very, very weird situation with the Povetkin Wilder lawsuit to find a loophole like that. And then they're keeping the money. The money's all good. So, yeah, absolutely incredible. At this, level, the top level of sport, the wording, air quotes.
Air quote, top level.
Well, all right, we're talking world championship level boxing, but
I'm talking about like top level, like sanctioning bodies, like regulatory bodies, like that top level testing, top level regulation. Yeah. Jesus.
I mean, Frank Warren this week was talking about he'd like to see a couple of the sanctioning bodies dropped. I'm guessing he wants to keep the WBC and the WBO.
Hold on, quickly, Jonathan, do not come in here and spread that propaganda. Fury tested for multiple substances. One of them was an anabolic fucking steroid. It wasn't just cocaine. Stop. I don't want any of that bullshit propaganda. Don't make excuses for Fury. Don't compare him to Benavidez, who only popped for cocaine. Stop. Let's not make false equivalences here about PDs. Let's not. Bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Fu?
Here's what I'll say. We need these boxers to understand that they give the belts legitimacy. The belts don't make a fighter. Like, there's nothing special about having one of these belts. Like, they make all the money for these people. If Wilder took the WBC belt, threw it in the trash, and said he was going to vacate it and do all of his fights, he'd still have the fans he has watching his fights to see him knock somebody out. The WBC would just lose millions of dollars. That's what would happen. So the real answer to this is for the fighters to just fucking say they're not even going to do all the extra shit they got to do to be ranked in these sanctioning bodies or to fight for these belts and all that shit. That's where the power is in the boxers' hands. So as soon as they decide that they're not going to put up with this bullshit and make some changes there, that's where we would see the sanctioning bodies get tougher on things or do things that were actually beneficial for the fighters. But it's like all of these guys want to have one of these belts. They don't care. They don't care how screwed over they get.
Fu, I mean, if boxers had that much class solidarity, we would have a fucking fighter union by now.
Yeah.
That's just the God honest truth, but that's not going to happen. Moving on.
I hope Wilder doesn't pay the fucking money. Oh, man. Or it'll be in litigation forever.
He probably will have to pay at least the legal fees of Povetkin. That's probably what's going to happen. Right? Because Povetkin wasn't suing Wilder. Wilder was suing Povetkin for, I believe, like a certain sum. So if Wilder loses, I think he'd just have to pay for the legal fees of Povetkin, most likely, from my very brief knowledge of being in the court system.
I thought I had heard somebody say something like Povetkin was, if he won, he would be owed the purse that he was denied.
But that wouldn't be Wilder paying him, though.
Gotcha.
That would be network, promoter, somebody else.
Cool.
But digressing, a rumor. I want to really stress this, guys. A rumor that Barboza Box on Twitter. I always forget his real name. Sorry. He has come out saying, okay, ... So I'm hearing Endeavor, a.k.a. William Morris Endeavor, a.k.a. the majority owners of the UFC, bought PBC for $580 million. Heyman would keep the management and advisory services of fighters. Can somebody confirm this? Now, Mike Comberger has come out and said, no sale imminent. And he kind of had a little dig at Barboza. And then I made a gif about fight, because I always love when media fight each other. Speaking as a fellow media member that picks fights with other media members, always love that shit. Be petty. Are we thinking that this has any legitimacy to it? I feel like it was worth at least addressing because it's out there, but I don't believe there's a sale imminent. I believe the number might be right, but I don't think there's a sale imminent. I probably agree with Mike Coppinger on that. You guys, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of not scoffed, but who was it? We kind of got the inkling that there was a sale. You know, we heard it Boxing Esquire, but the rumor started with that guy that you don't.
Not a sale, not negotiations.
Yeah, but who was the dude that kind of come out and said?
Well, it was Steve Kim and Rick Glaser, right?
Rick Glaser was the guy, yeah, and you were like, "Oh, that guy," kind of thing. But it was a kind of no smoke without fire kind of thing. Mm-hmm. There's whispers. So for now there to be a figure, maybe that has been bandied about in circles. So maybe there's some truth behind the number.
I agree with that.
Is it happening? Are they signing the dotted line on Friday? No, I think I'm sure plenty more to have to iron out and talk about. But yeah, we'll wait and see. But I'm sure details will come out. So maybe there's an element of truth in it, but I've got no clue if that is a sale that would be cheap or if that's a shit ton of money overpriced. I've got no idea what the worth would be, but
for context, I believe that's around what Waddell and Reed have been suing Al Heyman for, and I want to say that's around the rumored first investment of Waddell and Reed. So, right. So whatever, let's say, PBC got from the initial startup, it's around that same figure.
Right. Okay. All right. So yeah, maybe it's a case of 2 and 2 have been put together, and that's kind of where the figures come from, or whether that figure has actually been bandied around in the boxing circles. But yeah, we'll wait and see. I'm sure more details will come out about it, but be interesting just as to when it happens that, rumors are that Dana's going to be the face and Al Heyman's going to still be in the back doing his advisory role. Yeah.
Yo, I hate that Anthony's fucking right about that shit. God damn it.
Phil. Yeah, I know. Yeah. From our UFC show. Yeah.
So pissed.
It seems like everyone has a lot of details for this not to really be something. There's a lot of people in the press that are talking about bits and pieces of this, and it's kind of all coming together. So I also feel like, and I don't know if this really makes any sense, but in my mind, I was thinking, I know Endeavor is looking to go go public, right? As a company. Wasn't that what they were wanting to do with UFC?
Yes. No, they are going public.
They are.
They have filed for an IPO, so they are going to go public by the end of the year.
So I wonder if that has something to do with this part of it, because I know a lot of PBC, I think, is publicly traded, right? That's why they announced like the purses and things like that. Isn't that why they have to give some of that information where other times they don't have to? There's something about it being public. Purses have to be public knowledge because it's publicly traded or something.
Yeah, a lot more of your financial information has to be public if you're a publicly traded company. Yes. So that's a good thing. I feel
like that's some of what that might be. But yeah, I'm waiting to see how this shakes out because, like we said, I don't know that Dana White's the greatest guy to come over and do anything great for boxers. We see what he's doing for fighters over on the MMA side of things. So they're not getting paid over there. So.
Agreed. Anyways, moving on, guys, we have to differentiate clenbuterol, Nanderol, and cocaine, aka benzoyl kaijanine. I definitely pronounced that shit wrong. But those are 3 different substances with 3 very different either classifications within the WADA code or within VADA. So, guys, I understand you guys are having this big debate, and John in the chat making very stupid points, trying to equate all these 3 things. They're not the same thing. And I've posted links in the chat. If you don't understand that, read. And if you don't know how to read, go back to school, for God's sake.
And some of these same guys defending Fury are the same guys who call Anthony Joshua a drug cheat when he's never fucking popped dirty. I don't understand that shit. Why? You don't have to defend, even if it's cocaine. You don't have to defend. He got popped with a substance he was not supposed to be taking. Like, you don't have to defend Fury. Like, no one's hating on Fury. This channel likes Fury. Like,
I don't.
We're just saying.
I don't.
You know? Well, I mean, I don't. Maybe some of his antics are silly right now, and Top Rank's promotion, I think, is getting a little bit out there with Fury. But
nah, he's a fucking bigot, and his apology was, "Oh, it was a joke." Fuck him.
But keep the same energy about drug cheats. You know, if you're gonna go shit on, you know, Canelo and make it the biggest fucking deal in the world, Fury's a drug cheat too. And so is Miller, and so is Benavidez. Like, just keep the same fucking energy.
And guys, it's not even about that. Like, do at least some bit of research, people. Like, it's not that hard. I think we've done a decent job of trying to explain the difference between clenbuterol, cocaine, weed, Nanderol, anabolic steroids, EPO. I feel like we've done a decent job explaining that there are vast differences between all of those different substances, guys. And to equate them is just wrong. It is wrong. Clenbuterol, to equate clenbuterol to Nanderol is wrong. Similar to equate cocaine to clenbuterol is wrong.
Yeah,
you know,
I've never had a cocaine taco.
You really haven't, dude. You should try it. It's really good.
All right, okay.
But anyways, if you don't understand that there are differences, Google. Like, there's this vast data bank that you're actually on right now, people, where you can type in differences between anabolic steroids and clenbuterol, and look that up. Like, do some research. Like, it's not that hard, guys. Like, don't just listen to YouTube channels, even our own, if it's about the subject. Go an extra step, guys. Read some articles. Read some medical studies, some scientific studies. Like, do that. It's not that hard, guys. But digressing, guys, any last points about whatever we're talking about?
We're good.
I forget what we're talking about exactly. Like, I feel like we just went like a huge rant and rabbit hole. But digressing, another rant and rabbit hole we're going to get on. Maybe even Rob might jump on this rant, I feel like. WBC has come out, man. And I love, hey, like I said, I fucking hate WBC and sanctioning bodies, but I love pettiness. I will always keep that 100. WBC on Dylan White, his team have turned this into a circus and have been stalling. Robert, do you have an answer to this claim against your fighter?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Mauricio is sick and tired of Dillian White rounding up the troops with hashtag We Be Crooks. The WBC is a joke. He said, like, we've had the fans tagging us in social media, telling us we're this, we're that. You know, this is personal to me, you know, sort of dragging my father's name and stuff like it. He went all in and saying that. But the whole stalling thing is because Eddie and Dillian, they want Dillian White Rivas to be the eliminator and for it to be next, like the mandatory to be next. And Eddie's quietly confident. I'm not sure how it would work, but that there's kind of like a legal issue somewhere in this. I don't know quite how that would, you know, where that is. But
hey, look, in the time and day on this same show, we talked about how a fighter who the court has ruled he did take banned substances, but the battle agreement said, well, you shouldn't take them, and that's enough wiggle room. So he should be paid his purse. I think the WBC might wiggle out any legal action Eddie Hearn and Dylan White have against them.
Well, anyway, that is where the WBC is saying they're stalling because we've made like an offer of like I think the interim title. Although Eddie done an interview today and said they're virtually there where they want it to be. That Dillian White will be the mandatory. That is for the interim title. So he's unifying the silver and the interim WBC title.
Mandatory again.
Next on the list is I think the Pearl belt. But sorry. But yeah, I think that's where it is. But Eddie seemed kind of confident today that Dillian White, if he beats Rivas, will become Deontay Wilder's mandatory. Now, I think as far as will they just accept that, because that could be a long time before that's called. But I don't know. I think if you feel like you're hard done by, I think they said this week will be 600 days that Dillian White has been the WBC #1 contender. But if you're trying to get that mandatory, you wanting that shot at the chat, I don't know how helpful it is. Every other tweet or every other Instagram message that you're, coming at the governing body that you're trying to get that from, if you know what I mean.
Quickly,
you're not having it just yet.
Johnny, obviously a Wilder fan. Love you, Johnny, always. Day oneer, of course. I disagree with you, obviously, heavily in what you're about to say, or did say. White was given an opportunity not to play politics, and he chose to. He rather fought Chisora again than Ortiz. And this is where I have this distinct issue here. Wilder gave him an opportunity for a voluntary shot. He ain't want it. First off, when you mean Wilder gave him the voluntary shot, he obviously threw the Ortiz fight. And I got to say, if a fighter is able to dictate, or a promoter is able to dictate which fights are called to be mandatories, which fights are called to be eliminators and such, then obviously that sanctioning body and governing body has little to no power. And that's an issue. So, yes, while I think you are factually right in the reality of the world that, Wilder gave him this and the WBC relented. But that is an issue. That is not something to applaud, Johnny. That is an innate issue in this system, that sanctioning bodies are not concrete in their resolutions, and for, of course, a litany of other issues, transparency, other stuff, but the fact that they have zero consistency in their ruling, and that's in large part due to promoter and fighter influence, that's an issue. When PBC has their head of operations on the Supreme Council, the WBC, that's an issue. And I think that is probably a bigger topic of conversation, or at least a bigger point than, White wanted to play politics. Like, well, the politics you're talking about here aren't ones to be applauded. And the same politics that White wants to play, you don't think the WBC is playing with having a PBC executive official on their board? Like, both sides are playing politics here, Johnny. Don't get ever twisted.
I mean, people saying, he turned down the Ortiz final eliminator, but that was to be the second mandatory. It would still be no further forward. It was still someone else who would be mandatory, and then Dillian White would be mandatory. Also, people say he didn't. Brazil and Dillian White were called as a final eliminator. Suddenly, Fury signs for ESPN, and Brazil said he walked away from the Dillian White fight for the Wilder fight, which is, whatever. It's a bigger money fight or whatever, or maybe it would have been a UK pay-per-view, whatever. But Dillian White is this isn't kind of Dillian White's fault. He had a little eliminator negotiating it, and then Fury went and signed for ESPN and walked away, and Brazil stepped in instead. I don't know. I just, whatever is the situation, Dillian White deserves a shot at a fucking world title. That's all I know.
I'll put it this way to sort of clarify my point. To blame fighters in this situation, I think, is just missing the entire point. I'm not talking. I'm just talking generally. Maybe me too, Johnny. The sanctioning bodies and the systemic issue we are talking about here, the lack of consistency in ruling, is the primary topic of conversation, or at least it should be. That should be the thing we're blaming. The system, the institutional issues that play into, Johnny, when you're talking about the politics and the air quotes corruption of the WBC and just sanctioning bodies as a whole. And I think we should always frame the conversation as blaming the systemic issue, the institutional issues that either are making bad fights, not making great fights, whatever it may be. Because, again, that is the primary cause of why we aren't getting those great fights or are just getting shit fights or whatever it may be. It's not because of these fighters. It's because of WBC relenting to promoters' whims, WBA relenting to promoters' whims, WBO, etc., etc. And that's a much bigger issue than White either wanting to play politics or not wanting to play politics.
And it's always at their benefit, though. Like the WBC relents because the fight that wants to get made is more money, or
it still makes some money.
More, you know. So the sanctioning bodies are shit, and like Rob said, White deserves better, especially out of the WBC. I think you can make a case that he had a really good shot to be Joshua's next opponent, turned it down because of money, because he thought he was going to take this other route. That part, if someone wants to make mention, he's had some opportunities that he turned down. But at the same time, fucking the WBC should just, if you're going to put, why have a mandatory status? Why have a number one contender? You know, if it's just bought by a promoter and it's never enforced unless the promoter somehow is, you know, it's two people in their stable or two people that they can get the most money out of, you know, that shit's just, it's annoying. It really hurts the sport. Whereas like, you know, Dana doesn't pay his fighters, but at least you get 1 and 2 fighting each other a lot of the times. You get the top level guys fighting each other consistently, you know? So we just need to rectify that, whatever it takes.
Quickly, what was I going to respond to? Nah, fuck it. Never mind. It's just not worth it. It's not worth debating because, again, like the logic that's being used in the chat right now is just bullshit logic. And it's the, you know, it's the classic, like, oh, if you don't like pay-per-view, don't buy it. You know, like, oh, well, the system's not changing, so why are you still complaining about it? Really? Like, that's your excuse to defend the status quo, people? Really? Like, that's the same logic that's been used against, if you want to take it a much bigger topic, civil rights movement, gay rights movement, apartheid South Africa. Like, we can really go into, like, how flawed that logic is when it comes to suppressing progress. It's nothing's going to change. Why are you even trying? That's bullshit logic to be used in the chat right now, guys, and you guys know it. I'm not even going to mention your name right now. Not worth the time. Moving on. Speaking of heavyweights, Anthony Joshua sort of solidifying a range of dates for the Andy Ruiz fight. Still no official venue. It's either going to be the UK or New York, it seems. UK being Wembley and where the Spurs play, Tottenham
Hotspurs,
yeah.
New football ground, right. Cardiff Stadium or Principality Stadium or Wembley Stadium. And Eddie said, I know there's no roof on Wembley or Tottenham, but that's why if it is in the UK, we'll go for November the 16th, which falls in around, I think it's an international football weekend. So these football stadiums will be available to use because it'll be like England are playing that week. Obviously, Cardiff's got the roof, but yeah.
I really don't have in-depth take on this. It's whatever the date is, whatever the venue is, it doesn't matter. It's a big fight. Can't wait to see it. Fu, AJ Ruiz, Britain, New York, November, it seems.
Like I said to you guys earlier, this is a place where Joshua needs to put aside his ego, put aside the fact that he wants to win in America, and force this rematch in the UK to get his belts back. I think he deserves to have that fight back in the UK. He came here, he put all his belts on the line. I mean, they have a contract in place. Realistically, like, I get you want to be the bigger man and you want to go back and win in the US, but if money is not an issue, as Hearn said it's not, let's put it in the UK, get your belts back.
I think if Eddie gets his way, that's what will be the thing. But obviously, he stated that the final decision was Joshua, and at the moment, he's kind of in the mindset of going back and kind of exercising the demons, putting it right where it went wrong. There's apparently also been offers from Vegas, and he said somewhere else in America. Maybe it was Dallas. I can't remember, and also like 3 other countries have thrown their hat into the ring. But it's definitely, if it's in the UK, it's November 16th. That's where they're at with that. And if it's US, it could range up to December the 14th. So that's where it stands at the moment. I guess it's on AJ, but apparently they should come to they're just collecting all the final bits of information to present to Joshua, and he'll kind of make his decision there, and they should know by the weekend. So maybe we'll hear something, sign up to Athletic, or just wait for Coppinger to tweet it first.
I think the more important thing that I heard out of all of this is that Eddie did say that they were looking at bringing other people in for this camp to help Joshua with the strategy for this fight. And I think that, to me, is a big sign that maybe they think, that Joshua's not getting what he needs out of his current, his current trainers in camp, so, which I think is a thing a lot of people have come out and said, that Joshua needs some different people around him. So that'll be more interesting to me.
He said like McCracken's still going to be like the guy, but and he also said there's people that have been in other camps, and including this one, that people don't necessarily know about, and so people have been in and out and whatever, and done bits and pieces. But maybe a fresh set of eyes, a different voice. I think it was Chris Algieri was explaining to Chris Mannix that although he stuck with a certain trainer for all that time, he then someone else came in, and it was just a different voice that he'd got so used to the same voice, and you can become, I guess, a little complacent, and you're just hearing that same thing over and over, and then just a new guy coming in, maybe with a different tone, a different kind of thing. He said it worked for him. It kind of got him back on sort of focus. So maybe that's all it needs, just a name with a different voice, just to put it out there. But yeah, we'll see. News to come, I guess.
Agreed. And chat, keep defending corporations. It's awesome. Always funny. Especially corrupt corporations. That's always hilarious when people want to defend that shit. Amanda Serrano has come out with some controversial statements. Not really controversial. That's probably way overplaying what it is. It's just statements that, in regards to the Katie Taylor fight, that have definitely divided the boxing fan base. Rob over here all pissed off already, I can tell.
He's got his British flag ready.
Yo, it's flying high.
I've just got straight facts ready, so she could try a little PR campaign.
Let me say what she said. Just received the biggest offer of my life. As a loyalty to my fans, promoter Lou DiBella, and the appreciation due, DAZN, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, I'm willing to put it on hold to honor the 3-fight offer, not deal, that was made to me. I got no contract ever. Please make it. Rob, I know you have like shit to say and like receipts to pull up. Go for it, man.
Well, I've sent you receipts. Actually, she tweeted out part of her actual contract, which is regarding the first fight of her thing, of her deal, which was for $80,000. She also went out and, despite apparently never seeing a contract or knowing anything about a deal, to Beck Rawlings, who I believe is she an MMA fighter or
MMA
or something?
Yeah.
But she's like, "Oh, I'm glad you're finally paying you decently. I read an article not that long ago that you and Heather weren't happy with your pay. Although it's nowhere near what the men in your sport get paid, it's great to see it is on the up." Amanda Serrano replied, "Yeah, they were bad, but my 3-fight deal with DAZN USA have me getting way better money, 6 figures after this one. Totally love them." So you can go around saying, "I ain't seen no offers, I ain't seen no deal, I ain't seen no contract," when there's a litany of shit behind in your social media that says otherwise. And apparently there is, for the Katie Taylor fight, VADA testing is part of the contract for the Katie Taylor fight. Because to put it into perspective, let me just find it real quick.
VADA testing is probably like her whole $80,000. You know?
Right. VADA testing like $30,000, man. It's expensive.
That's what I'm saying. You know, how do women pay? You know, it's like almost impossible for women to pay for that.
Just
with what
so
they're
you know,
paid.
Rose Valente, who was 14-0 or whatever she was at the time, got $150,000 for her fight.
Yeah.
With Taylor. I don't know. She's just contradiction. It's trying to get more money out of the Taylor fight. I think she's got wind of what others are getting, or have got from a Taylor fight. And I think she's just on some, PR thing or whatever campaign to try and squeeze more out of the deal. But
we do agree that she deserves more, right? Like a fighter of her caliber that could put more people watching female boxing, like $80,000 is a joke. Like $150,000 is kind of a joke. Like these are top, you're talking top level fights, and these people still aren't making the money they deserve. I don't know. It's crazy. I get what you're saying, but man,
she got $80,000. Look at some of the purses from last weekend. There was people getting $20,000, and this is the men that supposedly get more than the women do. I'm just saying, it's
on her level, like multi-weight champions.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm just, she has obviously signed a deal. There's part of her contract there. Lou DiBella's always been out saying, we've got a deal in place. Eddie's confirmed it. She's the only one saying there's no contract, there's no deal. Well, there is. You've signed it. You've already got paid for one of the fights. You've told people you're getting 6 figures for the second fight, and there's the Katie Taylor fight in amongst it. So
yeah, I think she's doing her part. You've got to, if you're gonna take real legitimate risk, like against a Katie Taylor and such, and you don't think you're getting paid what you deserve, and you've won belts, and what is she, a 4 or 5 different weight classes? 7 weight class champion? Come on. Pay her. Like, give her the money. Pay Katie Taylor too. Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, I understand, like, money it's finite. There's a certain amount to go around. But, like, fucking, who were we talking about? The one show that made like $2 million for fighting a nobody? And he's not even a top level man, like guy fighter. Come on. Like, that's 80,000's a joke to me. She's got it. What she's doing is bigger than just her. If she fights to get what she deserves, it all trickles down to the next group of female fighters that are going to come in. Like, honestly, I know we're going to get into some other topics with this, but to me, that's her job. Her job is to force the issue to get what she thinks she deserves as a fighter.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But don't, be sort of throwing it out there that Eddie's lying, that Lou's lying, or whoever's lying. When you've signed a contract, you were happy with the money at the time. It's way better. You heard her, way better than she was getting before. And now she's maybe heard what other people have got recently, and she wants more of it. But, just, I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. She should have the integrity to be like, when I first took the deal, I thought this was good money, but now I'm seeing what these other fights are making or fighters are making, and I want to renegotiate or whatever based on some stuff. However she wants to say it, there is some of the integrity piece to that, but it is her job to fight to make more money. Like,
To stay on this topic of sort of women and women boxing payout, this really amazing clip from the sort of new. So remind me what this is, Rob, exactly. Like, Carl Frampton is like producing this show. Like, he's not always hosting this podcast, it seems. But like,
he's on it every week with Chris Lloyd.
But he doesn't do every interview, I should say, right? Like, it's not always him conducting everything. Because Chris Lloyd is the one doing the interview here. It's not.
Yeah, Frampton's there, sort of like chipping in.
Yeah, okay.
Like the guy that's
Is it a show, podcast? What specifically is it?
Yeah, it's like video recorded
podcast. Like what we do, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I just want to give them a lot of credit because I think they've done a fantastic job. Like Frampton's media, little tiny career he's been doing recently, I think is nice. Like I like what he's been doing.
Yeah.
I think he's
post boxing career. Frampton's he's gonna be good.
Yeah, and
he's gonna be really good.
So again, go check out this podcast, TKO podcast, to get the full podcast, full interview. But let's listen to this little clip from Heather Hardy talking about women's boxing and why she sort of made the transition to women's MMA at times. And maybe, I know Fu might have a little rant here, but it should be a good one.
At first in New York, right? Like when I'm 37, so when I came up in the amateurs, girls didn't get to box in the Olympics. We weren't allowed to box in the Olympics, right? And I turned pro, and as I was a pro, that's when the first class of girls were competing. Those are the girls that you hear all the names now, right? Like Katie Taylor and Clarissa Shields and Nicola Adams. There are a handful of those girls that people are paying attention to. But in my time, nobody cared about us. So the only way that I actually broke onto the scene was I sold a bunch of tickets. I used to tell my promoter, Lou, like, put me on the show, I guarantee you $10,000 in tickets. I will sell you, hand them to me, I'll sell them. And I was making like an $800 purse to do these fights and selling 10, 15 grand in tickets. And I did it all the way up until I went 15-0. And that's kind of what prompted my switch to MMA because I was 15-0. I was defending my WBC title at the Barclays Center, and I sold $40,000 in tickets, right? That's like over 250 seats I filled for this fight. And they put me on first before the doors even opened, and I was defending my title. I was doing, I think, a 10-round fight. I made under $7,000, and I sold 40 grand in tickets. And I had to make my ring walk with nobody there to clap their hands because they didn't even open the doors yet. And that's when I realized that I wasn't getting any younger, and the people in boxing really weren't showing much love to female fighters, so I went over to MMA.
It's pretty heartbreaking for me to hear that.
And by the way, I was wrong. Frampton was there. I totally forgot he was there. I mean, this is, like Frampton said, like, this is heartbreaking to hear. Like, Heather Hardy, for a while, was like one of the bigger names in women's boxing. Like there was a good 2 or 3 year stretch where she was one of the top names that was talked about, especially in the tri-state area. She was a big regional star over there. Like she said, she sold tens of thousands of dollars worth of tickets. She was that sort of person. She could fill out a club show, no problem. And she was never paid well in boxing to this day. And when she was defending her WBC title as an undefeated fighter, they hadn't even opened the doors yet to the venue. Like this is pretty just saddening, man, honestly. As a person that loves women's boxing, loves women's MMA, and has seen what a person like Ronda Rousey did for women's MMA and the effect it's had, and to see how that, unfortunately, like there was no equivalent to that had no effect really for the Heather Hardys of the world, who were great fighters, had great careers, but largely were unknown, unseen, didn't get paid for it, and God knows how much punishment they've taken not getting paid for it. Fu, I'm going to go over to you because I know, A, you're a big fan of Heather Hardy, big fan of women's boxing as much as I am. Sort of your thoughts on this, open the door for you.
To me, it's disgusting. If you think about it,
yes.
Like, let's put into context $800. You've probably covered a media event and brought in $800 or close to $800.
In terms of revenue?
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
Absolutely. Like back on Name Redacted. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. I have played a 1 hour set at a concert when I was playing music for an event I had to sell tickets for and made $1,000, So this is a person who's going through a major training camp with coaches to pay and gym time to pay for and strict dietary, food they have to buy.
Let alone like rent.
She's a single mom,
kids,
and at $800 and you're defending a WBC belt, like to me, I don't know how that's not illegal. There's a part of me that's like, I don't know how that is even legal to put someone in a ring and put their life on the line for $800. That seems crazy. And then another thing that came through, because I think Hardy is a great voice for female boxing.
Agreed.
She needs to keep pounding this, because this is something people need to hear. Because regardless of how interesting you think women boxing is, if you're out here saying fighters deserve to get paid, they put their life on the line, every girl that steps in the ring is no different than a man. They're all putting their life on the line. Like, they're all fighting to entertain and to make money. And Raquel Miller came out and said that she had sold $20,000 in tickets for the Andre Ward fight. They put her on the undercard, and that she was paid $1,200. So 20,000 tickets, $20,000 in tickets, not 20,000 tickets. Sorry, guys, $20,000 in tickets, and she got paid $1,200. Imagine working a commission job and getting 5% commission. And that's all you get. And then imagine that you are having to front all the money to prepare yourself to be able to make those sales.
You're an independent contractor.
Job.
You're an independent contractor in the extreme sense.
It's an absolute joke. There's no reason for this kind of thing to happen. And it's going to start with people fighting for women to fight 12-round championship fights at 3 minutes a round. Just like what they said in MMA, right?
And I got to remind everyone, it wasn't today, it was last week, and shame on me for not making note of it. I think it was like June 9th or something like that, was the 10-year anniversary of when women's MMA switched to 5 rounds and 5 minutes per round, which is the equivalent to a men's title fight in MMA. And thanks to California State Athletic Commission, which was the first state to authorize that. And the next month, we had Chris Cyborg versus Gina Carano on Showtime, which did 500,000, 600,000 viewers on Showtime for a women's fight. Think about that, guys. We've had Danny Garcia, Shawn Porter on Showtime that did, 400,000 views? Chris Cyborg, Gina Carano, circa 2006 did this number, guys, and passed it. So, if you, like Fu said, I think that's a very accurate way of how we really address women's pay in boxing, is that they have to first be treated equal before they get paid equally. So 12 rounds, 3-minute rounds. Let's go. And again, WB fucking C out there, Mauricio Fat fucking Suleiman out there, saying, oh no, like women can stay 2-minute rounds. Get your fucking ass in the kitchen and keep eating, dog, and let the women do the work, please. Please. Okay? Jesus fucking Christ. Okay? Sanctioning bodies are all fucking downright criminal and pathetic. But like you said, Phil, I think you're absolutely right. If the second we get women fighting the same amount of time as men, I think the natural domino to fall after that would be women to be paid better. Women to be treated the same. And that's what we have in MMA. You know, women MMA fight the same as men's MMA. Same amount of rounds, same amount of minutes, and they're roughly paid very equally in terms of the top people. So,
yeah, you'd see more stoppages, you'd see more knockouts, you'd see
better athletes.
Things that a lot of people say, oh, well, the KO ratio is 30%. Well, they fight, a championship fight. We've talked about this before, is what? Almost half of a male championship fight. It's 20 minutes instead of 36. So, yeah, a lot of guys wouldn't get stoppages on 2-minute rounds. So we could have better fights. We could have these things. It's just, it's got to be fought for. And we do a big disservice to people like Heather Hardy, who have to go and get their ass kicked at, MMA, because that's not what she really wanted to do with her life. She is a great boxer.
She's not a good MMA fighter.
She decided to do that to make money for her daughter. Like,
that sucks.
That's on us as fans. That's on the sanctioning bodies. That's on other women that are making good money that aren't voicing their opinions. The guys on the card that are taking these fights that aren't stepping up for the women who are making $800. Like, I don't know how you could be like an Andre Ward. Not that he ever made a ton of money, but if you got a female fighter who sold $20,000 in tickets and you see they're getting paid $12,000, you should be a voice for that.
Andre Ward got paid over $60 million for a pay-per-view that did 165,000 buys. So,
there we go.
Let's be honest here. Digressing. Let's talk about some fights. Unless Rob, I know Rob, you had to leave for a second. You just came back. Do you have any opinions, or you just want to move on?
No, it's just really sad situation. I think, like Leonard in the chat said, he believes they should be getting 10% of tickets plus their purse. So that would have been another like $2,000 or so. So makes a difference.
Fighters again, man, and this sucks because to get lawyers is a privilege. Like, you have to be a certain class to just get lawyers, and on top of that, good lawyers that can read a boxing contract and know what it fucking says. So a lot of these fighters that are just entering and just starting to get some sort of traction, they are signing so many bad deals. It's like musicians. It's the same thing, It's the 360 deal in boxing. I bet there definitely is those, And for me to just sit here and say fighters get lawyers, it's just not possible. It's not reality, especially in boxing where fighters are coming from a lower economic status usually than, let's say, MMA fighters usually. It's an issue that needs to be addressed, but the reality and how to address it is very hard right now. But hopefully, like Fu says, just the simple ruling of women fighting the same is a way to fix that avenue, that issue. That's a domino that could fall that leads to women getting paid better, etc. And how that affects overall fighter pay is another issue.
3-minute rounds as well. Obviously, yes. Breedis needed 3 minutes and 12 seconds to get Glowacki on the floor. So women have only got 2 minutes. Not much chance, right?
That's absolutely true. Let's talk about some fights. Fight that happened this morning. Kazuya Ioka defeating Aston Palicte via TKO in the 10th round. Really fun fight. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on Fight Pass and Daily Motion. But watch this fight. It's fantastic. Ioka has definitely moved up a ranking position in our ranking. So go to mixedcombatradio.com to see where Ioka is now ranked at super flyweight. I am really curious to see like a Donnie Nietes Ioka rematch. There's a lot that could be had. Maybe an Akajas fight for Ioka. Whatever it may be, I am thoroughly pleased to see Ioka not only get this great win, that was exciting, great finish, even though maybe some might argue it was a little bit early because it was a standing TKO, but I think he was out on his feet, to be honest. Ioka now becoming the first male Japanese boxer to win championships in 4 divisions. I forget the name of the women, the female Japanese boxer that's won titles in 5 divisions. I bet Leonard in the chat will mention her name. Totally forgot her name. Sorry. Ioka now the first male to win titles in 4 divisions from Japan. Shout out to him. You guys, did anyone watch this fight? Did anyone watch the highlight on Twitter?
I saw the highlight. I didn't get to see the whole fight yet, but from stuff I've read, he boxed really well. Yeah, brilliant. It's great to see. A lot of people were not giving him much of a chance, if anything.
He was coming off the Don Nietes loss straight into this fight. He's 30 years old at super flyweight. That's one. That's one of those years where people start questioning how much you have left in the tank in those weight divisions, and he probably put on his best career win, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. And in typical sort of Japanese fighter style, straight up on the ropes, jumping for joy. Why not enjoy it? It's like the Andy Ruiz moment almost. He was jumping up and down, going crazy. But just quickly, I want to thank Rahman for his super chat.
Oh, I didn't see it. I'm so sorry, Rahman.
He didn't have a comment. He just a little donation there. So shout out to you. Thank you very much.
Awesome Patreon member too. And Rahman, sorry I didn't do championship rounds last night. Championship rounds would be tonight. That's actually a great way to remind myself. Go to patreon.com/ what is it? Something post, whatever it is. Go to patreon.com/ mixedcombatradio. And go leave a question topic on the free public topic question post for our championship round show later tonight. But digressing, Fu, Ioka Palicte. Did you watch the fight, the highlight, anything?
Yeah, I watched the fight. It was really good. The first 4 rounds were very competitive. I definitely was impressed with Ioka's defense and counterpunching. He looked really good the entire fight. So, like you said, I think Nietzsche's rematch is going to be neat. And he seems like I watched that Nietzsche's fight. He didn't look like he looked in this fight. He looked very like he was on point the entire fight. This fight, and Palicte looked good too. So it was a very good fight. I liked that the Roy Jones because it was under the Roy Jones Promotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess we're gonna get some good fights out of that. I didn't know what we were gonna get really with that, but it looks like hopefully this will be kind of like another place we can get some good fights. Hopefully not in the morning on a
I don't mind
Wednesday
that though.
or
I don't.
something.
Hey, it's international Asian cards. They're gonna be weird times, weird days. And especially in the streaming era, it's all on demand anyways.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. And with these fights, I really don't mind being spoiled either. Like I don't mind knowing what happens beforehand. They aren't some of the bigger fights in that mind. Anyways,
is the whole card on there?
Yes. Oh no, it's
Okay.
not. No, it's not.
Oh.
Like the Kaguchi defending his light flyweight title against Tenwat Nakun. That was not on the televised UFC Fight Pass card. I'll try to find a link for you, Fu. But I heard that was a good fight. Both guys undefeated too.
Yeah.
He got UD, didn't he? Right?
Yeah, he won via UD. Moving on, fights coming up this weekend to talk about Jamel Charlo fighting Jorge Cota, obviously because Tony Harrison got injured. I mean, can we just all agree? Jamel Charlo knockout within 2 rounds, 3 rounds, right? Like, it should be over rather quick.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
Right? Like, we don't do. Come on, it's Cota. Look what Lubin did to him.
He is talking mad crazy as well.
Erickson Lubin did the splits and then jumped back up and knocked this guy out. Okay, like Jamel Charlo should win this fight, guys. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure he will. Is there much in the undercard?
Yeah, Guillermo ringing down the undercard against Julio Ceja. I think a title eliminator, I believe. I might be wrong on that.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I don't think that's official. I think they were talking about it. But anyways, that's a decent fight. Also, his first fight back at 122, which I think is the right division for him size-wise, even though I think the best names, obviously, are at 126. Size-wise, he is just a small guy for that division. And also Bartholomew's brothers on the undercard. I don't care. Moving on, Andrew Consejo versus Alberto Machado, the rematch. Obviously, Consejo defeating Machado via really dramatic upset. Or was it earlier this year, I want to say?
Great story.
Amazing story. Amazing fight.
Back to work. No real celebration.
Is he like a firefighter or something? What's he?
Oh, he work at like a
deli. I forget what it is. It's something weird. It's something very boxing.
He's a construction worker.
Like a petrol gas.
Oh, like not a gas attendant. It's like
gas board. The gas board. Or something. I'm not sure. It's something
like an oil man or something.
Yeah.
Something
But not like an oil baron.
Took vacation to do the fight, right? Or something.
He used his holidays to train, basically.
Oh, we call it a vacation.
Be there for fight week. Yeah.
We don't call it holiday. We call it vacation.
I'm talking to my English listeners, not your.
Anyways, guys.
Hakuna Matata. Sorry.
I'm really curious about this rematch because, again, it was an upset. Machado has been one of those guys that hardcores have been hyping up at 130 for a long time, and he looked poor in this fight. Like, it was like Emmanuel Navarre versus Isaac Dogbe, where the fight went so dramatically one way that I was like, I don't see how the A side rebounds an instant rematch. I get a huge Navarre Dogbe vibe here. I'm picking Andrew Consejo here. I think he should win. I just feel like he has that dog in him that Machado just didn't in the fight for some reason. And also power. Consejo has that sneaky pop that really was frustrating Machado. And plus, I think his ability to get on the inside within Machado's range and his lankiness was just, I don't see how Machado fixes that within an immediate rematch. Rob, Fu, any thoughts on this main event?
First of all, shame on Oscar De La Hoya not even going to be there. He's going down to fly down to be with Canelo, apparently. You know,
not surprised.
Anyway, but yeah, I'd love it if Cancio could do it again. We'll see. Apparently, Machado said that was not the real Machado. You will see the real Machado, said Machado. So, but I don't know. Freddie Roach was sort of speaking highly of how he's been doing in training this time around, and blah 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 blah. But yeah, I'd like to see Cancio pull it off again, because it's such a great story in a sport that we don't necessarily get great stories too often.
Yeah, I would love to see Ruiz beat AJ again, just because of the story, right?
No, but what a comeback story that would be, you know?
Yeah. Anyways, Fu, thoughts, Consejo, Machado.
Yeah, I'm taking Machado in the rematch. I think, but after reading your excellent researched article on rematches,
Oh, hold on, look at that plug right there.
Webpage.
Yes, NicksCounterRadio.com. Go check out my latest article. What's the probability of Andy Ruiz winning the rematch? Look through boxing's history. Go check it out.
Yeah, so I mean, you could be right, man. Cancio may just be too tough for this guy. Quite honestly, I mean, he really at one point Machado just looked like he didn't want to be in the fight anymore. Like, it was the body shots, like he was really working the body, and so who knows? But Machado, it was a guy I was pretty hyped on at the weight. So
yeah, I was too.
Yeah, I was shocked. There's been a few upsets recently that you're just like, damn, like that kind of changes everything, on this. So we'll see. It should be a really good fight. And if Cancio wins, it's a hell of a story, man. That's you get Ruiz in the Cancio story in 1 year in boxing. If we could get 12 rounds, 3 minutes for women, damn, it might be like a storybook year.
Brief mention, co-main event, Angel Tito Acosta, arguably the heaviest fucking hitter in boxing right now. What should I say? Looking at this, how is he not on a list of top 5 heaviest hitters in boxing? Like, I don't think we even voted for him. I think I did one. I voted for him. No one else did. Because you guys are casual.
That's an easy answer. Rob and I are fucking super casual. We don't know who.
No, don't back down. Don't back down. He's just talking bullshit that he's like this hipster guy that knew the name.
No, look, Angel Tito Costa has a 100% knockout ratio. 100, and he's being great competition. Like again, Lopez.
So his one loss was via knockout as well?
No, his one loss was via unanimous decision against Kozai Tanaka, aka pound for pound talent right there. Fuck off.
He's not 100% knockout ratio.
In his wins,
he
yes.
got knocked out in his loss.
No.
I'm just playing.
I'm just
scrolling you, Matt.
I'm going to scroll back in our chat and see where Matt voted for Tito Acosta.
I'm pretty sure I have my list somewhere. I can look it up really fast. But anyways, a brief mention of other fights on this card. I will look it up, Rob. Don't fuck with me. I will look it up.
You look it up. That's.
I will. You know me. I save everything that we do like that. So I definitely have that list somewhere. Digressing.
Are you going to doctor it before you show us?
No, of course. I will screen share it if need be, Rob. But anyways, brief mention of some other cards that no one's probably going to watch this weekend. A Facebook watch card in Atlantic City, New Jersey this Friday. Eddie Gomez, Mike Reed are in the undercard. I don't know anything other than that. A ESPN Plus card in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Stephen Ward versus Liam Conroy and Tyron McKenna. Tyron McKenna is a decent guy. It might be worth just watching him fight. DAZN, obviously on Saturday. Connor Ben versus some guy. Ted Cheeseman versus some guy. That's about it. Showtime also. Sebastian Fondora, who's a really good junior middleweight prospect.
Sounds just like some guy to me.
But hey, that's about it on that card. He's fighting some guy. Actually, Hector Zapata. I think I remember that name. But again, some guy. And a Sunday card on ESPN Plus in Glasgow, Scotland. Lee McGregor. I think no relation to Conor McGregor, of course. Fighting some guy named Scott Allen and some undercard fights. I don't know anyone. And a CBS Sports Net card, Brad Solomon. Oh my God, Brad Solomon's fighting this weekend. But yeah, that's about it, guys. That's going to be televised. Going to be able to watch this weekend. A lot of just bland fights, to be honest. Nothing really too exciting. Any last thoughts, guys, on topics, fights, or we're going to callers? 323-870-4051. Rob, Phil?
No, man, I think I'm good.
Cool. We're going to...
I was just going to say it's a little bit of a step up for Conor Benn.
Is it?
Yeah, this guy lost a split decision with Samuel Vargas. So for Conor Benn, this is just a bit of a test, just
using those words very
everyone
loosely
now
today.
seems to be crying out for Josh Kelly versus Conor Benn. Let's not.
Yeah, because Conor Benn's going to just get ruined, and we all know that.
The Destroyer will ruin Josh Kelly.
Anyways, let's go out to one of our favorite callers, Gary in Dallas. He hasn't called in like a long time, it feels like. I feel like we haven't had a Gary call.
I thought you meant it was Santi. Sorry.
Santi's next.
He always calls in when I'm on. He's like,
no, you said it's one of our favorite
now
callers.
let's represent.
Wait, he's one of my favorite callers.
Oh, okay. You need to be specific.
One of mine and Foo's favorite callers, obviously.
Oh, okay. I would have known then. I would have known it was Gary.
Instantly, right? Gary in Dallas, what's up, man?
Gary, have you seen the footage?
What's going on?
Have you seen the footage? What footage?
Yeah,
Keith Thurman sparring.
Keith Thurman sparring, yes. One time is back. Throwing heat.
I think this is going to be interesting. Between him and Pacquiao, who can pull the best fake injury? This is going to be good. I'm just waiting to see who pulls out with the first fake injury.
I've heard Pacquiao has a shoulder injury.
Manning, I would go with a ruptured Achilles, because that's going to put Kevin Durant out for a full 12 months. So if I was going to go with a fake injury, that one's going to buy you some time. I'd go with something like that. Or Pacquiao. They both, Pacquiao usually gets a cold or he hurts his shoulders or his gloves are uncomfortable, like against Morales. Or he feels sick after he gives blood.
Scared of needles.
He's scared of needles, man. Hey.
I'm afraid you got 3 tattoos, but you're afraid of needles. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I believe it's a
tattoo. Logic and facts right there, Gary. Boom.
Full, real quick. When you say you don't understand why people accuse AJ of being on steroids, you really don't understand why someone might think he's on steroids?
By the way,
you look at him and
Gary, by the way, Gary, just by the way, food just dropped off and just came back on. He had some tech issues. So he's back on right now. He didn't hear a word you said, so restart the question.
Okay.
He said, Fu, you're awesome.
No, he didn't say that.
Oh, God, let me guess. Gary's going with the AJ, why? Oh, can't you understand why people question if he's using drugs or not?
That's right.
Oh, my good Lord. Okay. Let's have it.
See why someone... No, there's no evidence. I mean, there's no failed test, so you can't say he's on steroids for sure. I'm just saying it's like...
But you can't not say he's not taking steroids.
It's in the fine print.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't take them.
You shouldn't take them. But, I mean, like, is that really an issue?
Hey, man, I don't know that Zion's not on performance-enhancing drugs in college basketball, but, hey, I think I would just all start talking about that, too. He just looks, he's too big, too fast,
Yeah, I'm with, was it Tito? Who's the guy that says the whole UFC is on steroids? Everybody.
Oh, come on. That's Nate Diaz, though. Come on.
Everybody's on
Nate
steroids.
Diaz.
The whole UFC, everybody.
Tito Ortiz. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay, I have no idea. I'm with that guy, and not just UFC, and not just boxers. All professional athletes, pretty much across all boards, are on performance-enhancing drugs of some sort. It's just who gets caught with it.
But it's like,
all part of the circle.
innocent until proven guilty, If Joshua pops dirty, that's completely different.
It's all
But
part of the
I have no reason to say that he's on steroids outside of the optics, right? Like, I mean, no, I can't accuse him of being a steroid or a cheater or anything like that. But, like, if and when he does pop, I'm not going to be surprised, right? Have you seen him? Did you see him what he looked like when he lost to Clemente Russo in the Olympics? Do you see what he looks like now? It could be natural. I have no reason to suspect that it's not. It just doesn't look that way. You know what I'm
Come
saying?
on, guys.
So don't pretend. It's normal.
It's normal.
Most people look like cartoon characters. Most people look like that, yeah. But I don't want to get clever. I mean, you understand why people think Joshua is on steroids, right? Like,
yeah, we understand
that.
It's probably the same reason that people think Wilder's on steroids.
Wilder doesn't look like Joshua, though. I mean, Wilder looks. I mean, and he could be. I'm not saying he is or he isn't. I'm just saying Wilder looks like a tall, lean, 6'7" athlete.
He needs some leg steroids, ankle steroids.
Anthony Joshua looks like He-Man or something. Looks like He-Man or something. I mean,
Gary.
I've never
Man on steroids.
Yeah.
Gary, I'll say this. 'Cause I think Fu and Rob are too scared to actually say it. Of course, we understand why there's a lot of people that think AJ is on steroids. Look at him. But
that's all I'm saying.
But I don't give a shit. Fu has some actual excuse. I just don't give a shit.
I don't trust the whole drug testing thing. I've listened to like probably 6 to 7 hours of really legitimate research that's done on it, and honestly,
it's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit, and it affects a lot of fighters' like lives, and could be detrimental to the sport. And a lot of times, they don't even have all the facts. So
like an academic, then he was like, "I've listened to 7 hours of research, and it's all bullshit."
Well, I mean, you can't continue to listen to it, right? Like, you're not going to listen to like 40 hours of drug testing podcasts, but you know,
Fu, I just liked how Rob unnecessarily gave you a British accent.
Yeah, I went Oxford professor on his head.
Gary, back to you.
Don't make me go Southern on you.
Hell no.
Yeah. Oh, and then just real quick on the women's thing. Is it time and is there interest? Because, like, if the major boxing organizations aren't going to pay them, right, is it just time to have, separate from the WBC, WA, IBF, and WR, just, like, we'll call it the WBL, the Women's Boxing League. Is it time just to have that? Start their own league and their own organization with their own cards.
Well, I'll say this.
Because if they're not going to get treated,
sorry to cut you off.
there would need to be interest in that. Is there? I mean, worldwide, you take the American fighters, the fighters over there in the UK and in Europe. I think you have enough interest for a league, right? Where they're going to get paid more than a couple of $1,000 at the highest level.
I'll say this: MMA. There's a promotion called Invicta Fighting Championship. They're shown on Fight Pass, UFC Fight Pass, so you can watch their fights there. They're an all women's promotional company. Phil, you're right there. You're like slapping a bug. What the fuck are you doing, man? You're on camera. What are you doing?
Bees everywhere. Get me off the camera. There's a fly flying around me.
Anyway, sorry, that was really distracting. And it's run by Shannon Knapp, who's a former fighter. And it's just a female-led, female company for women. And it is extremely successful in what it is trying to accomplish. Being that niche within a niche to service women's MMA as a whole. And to be the sort of the infrastructure for that sport. I think you're absolutely right. I think there is enough interest. There is enough fighters where you can make a separate sanctioning body, organization, whatever it is, maybe a promotional company, whatever it may be, that is women only, women run. And I would love to see like a Heather Hardy post her career to be involved with that. Even people like a Holly Holm, if she wanted to come back to boxing and like run that, I think that'd be awesome. Like there's a lot of really talented, smart women who are activists when it comes to this shit that would be perfect for that. And I absolutely agree, Gary. There is a space for it in the market, and I think it would be successful.
Because we talked about when Clarissa Shields headlines the card on Showtime. He said it did like 350. I'm like, 350 is not the end of the world, but it's not a good number. You're like, it's better than what Gervonta Tank Davis did.
Yeah.
And Gervonta Tank Davis is going to head another card in next month against someone you've never heard of, and he'll probably make $500,000, $2 million. Right? They're not paying Clarissa Shields that, but why? Clarissa Shields put in the same number. Right? Like,
Tank will make over $1 million.
You think he'll make over $1 million? He's fighting nobody. But let's say he makes $1 million.
He is.
And Clarissa Shields puts up the same numbers on the same amount of tickets, gets the same rating. Why is she not going to get paid anywhere near that? Doesn't make any sense. Right? So maybe it's just time to start their own thing. And then we can have a league of their own, a boxing movie.
Ooh,
like they did
great callback, by the way. Love that movie. Low-key, top 5 baseball movie. I'll say it.
Yep, I agree.
I'll say it.
I think it Gary on movies. Jesus.
Dumb and Dumber, the best comedy ever. Jesus.
Ever.
Best comedy ever.
He's been fucking Jim Carrey's best
I'm
comedy.
sticking with it.
Although Gary's greatest baseball movie, if it hasn't changed, I'm down with that. What was it?
It was Major League, but
that's a good one.
Said Sandlot. You think that you don't really think of Sandlot as like Bull Durham or like, but it is a baseball movie, and it is great. So Sandlot is in that conversation.
Yeah, it's probably Sandlot or Major League, but they're two very different movies.
Yeah.
Have
you never seen Sandlot?
What, children playing?
Yes, the greatest coming of age film in American history.
I agree. I totally agree.
It's right behind.
Like,
it's right in front of Outsiders because only the movie is not as good as the book.
Rob's like, oh, Peter Pan. Yeah, I saw that. Children playing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like Goonies. Children playing.
Yeah, when they take the chewing tobacco and they get on the spinning ride in the circus, shit's hilarious. Because I did that shit, and it definitely made me throw up.
Now who's talking? The Goonies. Now we're talking.
Okay,
that's actually probably up there with greatest coming of age.
Monster Squad.
Anyways, digressing. Moving on.
That's the other one that. Yeah, let's get back to boxing. I want to talk about Spence, the Porter pay-per-view. Right? There's nothing wrong with that fight being on pay-per-view. It's a pay-per-view worthy fight. It's a unification fight between two top 3, 4, 5 welterweights, right? So there's no problem there. But it's just like, this is not sustainable anymore. You're seriously hitting me for $75 to $80 a month, 10 months out of the year. That's $800. I mean, on top of my $200 a month cable bill and internet bill, right? So that's not sustainable, right? Like, you have to figure out what the zone has. You got to give me something where I can pay a monthly fee and I get all these fights. Because I mean, look, I'm even looking at these now. Like, okay, I'm going to pay for Thurman Pacquiao in July. I'm going to pay for Spence. When is that? December. Spence Porter's in September, they said?
No. It's going to be in the fall, so it's going to be like October-ish probably.
October earliest, I think.
But when is the Luis Ortiz Deontay Wilder rematch?
November.
According to Tim Smith.
So you give me a little, I mean, and then you got Garcia, and I'm not buying Garcia versus Garcia. That's the one I'm not buying. Like, and it's not a bad fight. It's a pretty entertaining fight, and that's in when? September? August?
Whenever.
Garcia versus Garcia.
They don't have a date yet.
So far, you're good for Christmas if you've got any money left.
Yeah, like, and that's me. I'm the biggest boxing fan in the world. I paid $20 to watch that versus Clea Shelton. And I'm like, I can't give you $80 a month every month anymore. This is just getting out of control.
Yeah, especially when Gary, when that fight you're talking about, the Selden fight for $20, that was on Daily Motion an hour after the fight, in HD quality.
Doom 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 doom.
Yeah, I just because I have the UFC Fight Pass, and I watched that. I just watched it when I woke up in the morning because it was on like real early my time. I just watched it when I got up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you told me I can get it on Daily Motion. It's like, why am I paying $10? Because with UFC Fight Pass, you really only usually get 1, maybe 2 boxing cards a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I pay the $10. But it's like, why am I doing that when I can get it from this website an hour later? I mean, I try to be like a reasonable person. If I'm going to use this service, I'll pay you for it. But at a certain point, if I can just get it for free, you've gotten enough money out of me. You know what I'm saying? Like Showtime and Fox and PBC, we'll call it, has gotten enough money out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Give it Mixed Combat Radio instead, Gary.
And I'm a patron. I pay for my service. I use your service. I love your service, and I pay you, and I donate monthly, right?
Mm-hmm.
I because on the Fight Pass they have a bunch of Texas prospects, like young Texas fighters, and I would get the 7-day trial and then cancel, and then get 7-day trial and then cancel, and like there's nothing wrong with that. They let you do it.
Mm.
It's kind of a little scumbag thing to do, right? Like if you're gonna use the service, just pay for it.
You shouldn't
It's not
do
unreasonable.
that,
It's not like that.
Yeah, you shouldn't. Shouldn't.
But there's the loophole.
Well, what if they? Do we know which one's going to be on Fox and which fights are going to be on Showtime pay-per-view?
No. I mean, we can probably assume, but no. We don't.
By the way,
Okay,
interestingly,
so
Tim Smith said he was asked, so how do they decide who's going to be on Fox and who's on Showtime? And his first answer was, well, they bid for it. And then he kind of went, oh, but everyone will have their turn and this, that. His first answer was like, well, the rights are up for grabs, so they bid for it. So
I like that.
So far, Showtime ain't really won any.
Oh, true.
What if they did something like this, right? Like, let's say, and I'm just going to use, and I could be wrong, but let's just say two of them, let's say the two welterweight fights are going to be on Fox pay-per-view. They say each 175, but if you buy both, it's 100.
Yeah,
sure.
You know what
But
I'm saying?
even then, do you want to get in a model where it's like every other month you're paying $100? I don't know that you want to get into that.
Yeah, because
either.
Gary, yes, is that improvement? Yeah, but is it the end goal of what we want in the marketplace for consumers? Absolutely, fucking not.
No, it's like if the NBA charged $100 to watch each game of the finals, how many less people would watch the finals? Most people wouldn't watch, right? And that's where you are with boxing. I'm not going to pay $100 to watch every fight or $75, $80. So, yeah, they have to get away from that. But like, I don't know how they do it without going to an app like DAZN, because these fighters are now going to like. Does Crawford get? I mean, Crawford is really priced himself out now. You can't pay him what you used to pay him 2 years ago, and he can't sell on pay-per-view.
I mean, let's be realistic. Crawford's going to be a PBC fighter soon. I would imagine Crawford's going to.
We said that already. We said that in the past, though.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to have pay-per-view options over there. He's going to have more money available over there. Like, Bob has done a shitty job promoting him. Let's be real. I mean, I don't think Crawford's sticking with Top Rank.
But did you think he was going to resign with Top Rank for that multi-fight deal when he did after the Benavidez fight or before the Benavidez fight?
No, but I think they
didn't think
promised
so.
him pay-per-views. I think they promised him, things that aren't. I don't know that they're going to be able to do. He hasn't had a successful pay-per-view. He hasn't had a good dance partner. Like, Khan's not the right guy.
Did we ever get a final number on that Khan fight? Because I heard rumors of a bunch of things, but I never really heard a firm number.
I haven't heard a firm number either, and I can only assume that means it was a failure.
I saw 150 around that. But Gary, I mean, you're just for a second, because we totally forgot to talk about a topic, and we need to address it. So this is just going to be a long show. Fuck. It's just going to be one of those shows. Sorry, Rob. You have to deal with it. Rob, right? What the hell did you do?
My bad. I tried to unmute myself.
Oh, my goodness. I was like, what?
It's right next to it.
First Foo's like slapping the air in his own shoulder, looking like a crazy man with the beard. Yeah, man. I was worried about him.
Waving like a sissy.
I thought he had a stroke or something. But anyways, digressing. Loma Campbell. We forgot to talk about that. I think it was Eddie Hearn interviewed by IFL. Yeah. I assumed IFL, but it might have been someone else. Saying basically to the effect, I don't have it up, that it doesn't look likely that they're going to get a deal in order by Friday, and purse bid seems highly likely at this point in time.
Yeah, he said they made their very best, like final offer as far as holding it in the UK, and that they haven't agreed. Loma side haven't agreed to it, so it's looking like a purse bid which is due Friday.
Now I know Rob's been on some conspiracy theory that Loma's actually signed to an exclusive deal. He's not.
I'm trying to find out because it makes a difference as to what goes on. That's all.
I don't think it does. Because I don't think he is. Just like every promotional company, they sign network deals, but the fighters do not have network deals. At least long-term network deals. And I think Loma, just like Jose Ramirez, can go to any network in order to make a fight. Obviously, they don't want him to go to DAZN, so that's why we're getting a possible purse bid situation here. But interesting now that Eddie Hearn and just DAZN as a whole, let's be honest, could get even a Loma fight this year. Obviously, Loma Campbell isn't a super fight in a way, but sorry, Rob, it isn't. It is a Loma fight, and that still matters. Like for DAZN, sort of, itemized item list of what they've accomplished this year. A Loma fight's going to be high on that. Same with the Canelo fight. Same with the Triple G fight. Like there's certain sort of metrics and accolades they want to hit, and a Loma fight is one of them, in my opinion. And just interested to see what the purse bid situation would be like. On top of that, since we're talking about purse bid, just want to briefly mention Dana White has come out and said that he will actively start going into boxing purse bid situations, it seems like. So God knows what that fucking means, or if Dana White's even honest about that. But we could see a lot of different parties other than DAZN and ESPN in this purse bid situation, like any other purse bid. I forget what fight it was, Rob, but it was... I forget what purse bid situation was, but I think it was Eddie Hearn or somebody was there for a different party than the two fighters involved to try to bid on it. It was a recent fight in the last 12 months, I want to say. That was relatively big, but I'm forgetting it for some reason. But that could happen here.
Where would he have put it on, though? On what?
What?
If Dana White was to bid for who? On whose behalf? Like, what?
Behalf on Zuffa Boxing, LLC.
On what network is that?
That'll probably be ESPN.
Oh, okay.
Or ESPN Plus or Fight Pass. I mean, one of those three.
So I'm fully convinced that he was probably on, nose candy and thought they were talking about designer purses. So yeah, I'm totally going to start bidding on Fendi, Prada purses. What the fuck's he going to try to bid on purses for boxing? Doesn't make any sense. I'm with Rob. Where's he going to put it on? ESPN? Top Rank would just get it at that point, wouldn't they? Come on.
Not necessarily.
But anyway, if it goes to purse bids, and if Eddie Hearn wins it,
I don't think it does.
It'd be on DAZN.
Yeah, it should be on DAZN, right? In America, because he said if it goes to purse bids, that will be for the fight to be held in America, because he can't say, "Oh, Campbell, we've done a purse bid. It's going to be in the UK, but it's like half the money or whatever." The most money is going to be in America. But so does ESPN and Top Rank happily send, well, not happily, but does Loma come over for it, or does he walk away? Because this fight was for a man, he was like ordered for a vacant belt. So do ESPN say, yeah, over you go to DAZN and fight on the rival streaming platform? Or do we then suddenly get Campbell Haney, to which obviously Eddie Hearn represents both, and they've got a piece of the lightweight title? I don't know.
A couple of points. I don't think this at all happens. I think Top Rank and ESPN win the purse bid anyways. But if that does happen, I think Loma does go over. Loma has fought on rival networks before. He fought, obviously, Gary Russell Jr. on Showtime right after the Orlando Salido loss on HBO. So this wouldn't be the first time, and probably won't be the last time, that Loma has to sort of switch networks to make fights or just be forced to because of purse bid scenarios. And if he is a man of his word and talking about how he only wants the belts and all that stuff, then he has to at this point. Because it seems like Richard Comey and everyone else on the IBF side are all tied up. So the WBC is the only route left, and it's right there. And I think he really has no issue with what network it's on. I don't think Loma cares. Bob Arum, Top Rank, they care. ESPN, they care. But I don't think Loma cares.
But if he'd have accepted the UK deal, it would have been on ESPN, no problem. I don't know.
But again, I don't think he cares about that. I don't think he cares about where it's at.
Reached an agreement. They haven't accepted Eddie Hearn's final offer. So
Loma is 100% not going to give up an opportunity to fight for the WBC belt.
Well,
no matter what it comes to.
It kind of already is. He hasn't accepted Eddie Hearn's offer to fight.
But that doesn't mean anything. There's a purse bid.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he doesn't want the fight.
Right? He just said, I think would get in the way. He just wants to fight for titles. He just wants the belts. I'm just saying.
But maybe he doesn't want to travel to the UK.
Yeah, he does. Apparently, Bob's been around. Loma wants to fight in the UK.
Bob.
Yeah,
not Loma. Loma's not out there in the media saying that he wants to go.
And Loma. Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
All right, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, Matt.
Well, then, hey, send the link. Send the link. Because I've only seen Bob say it. And Bob says a lot of shit.
Loma has said he wants to fight in the UK, but not accepting just some deal that they think isn't good or whatever, and they want to take the purse bids. Like, I mean, we've seen this before, and I thought, Rob, that you were very much a fan of purse bids, right?
Yeah, no, I was just saying, he wants to fight for the belt. It doesn't matter what. Nothing would stand in the way. Nothing.
Well, going to the zone isn't going to stand in the way.
Hey, come on, Phil. We get it. It's Luke Campbell, man. We can move on. It's Matchroom. We can just move on.
I love Campbell.
We love that Campbell train. We do. Gary dropped off. Gary, if you're listening, you can always jump back on. Santiago, you didn't press 1, but I assume you know that you don't have to press 1 at this point in time. Santi.
Yo, you guys took so long that I had to take my medicine before my call. So if I start making no sense, forgive me for that.
Good medicine.
Yeah. Anyways. Quick topic.
60
for the women's
seconds.
boxing. Matt, as you know, my first introduction to women's combat sports in general was Gina Carano. I actually remember waiting so patiently from the start of the program when she took on Chris Cyborg and thinking to myself, like, wow, this is a real thing. And waiting, I didn't want to really watch it because, it didn't appeal to me what the men were fucking doing and shit. I kept switching between channels just to see, all right, how many more fights do I have to go, so on and so forth, until we finally got to the main event. And from there, a whole new world opened to me. The first time that I ever trained anybody, it was my best friend who you met at Target. And ever since then, I've just been a big, big supporter of women's boxing. And, it's really stupid because, a lot of the things that could be done are so simple. And is when you really just sit down. I remember, when I went to the Appreciation Night show back in Vegas, I don't know, I want to say maybe 5 years ago. I remember sitting down with, a couple other people, and it was the first Kovalev-Ward fight. Clarissa Shields was making her pro debut, and we'd learned that they were not going to televise her debut. I don't know if you remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember being so mad and talking about how, look, there was such a simple correlation of how you can promote these two together, Andre Ward was the last American gold medalist, 2008, and after that, Wilder was the last medalist, You go to Clarissa, she's the first American to win a gold medal since Andre Ward. She's fighting in his original weight class of super middleweight. There was such an easy correlation from what you could have made to that would have been relatable, made sense, and I will never understand why they couldn't do that storyline. So I definitely have had my fair share of issues with the way that the women are treated there, from the number of rounds that they fight, the number of minutes that they fight in the round. And I definitely think that the moment that they either get their own league like they do in MMA with Invicta, or they're finally just allowed to fight the same number of rounds and minutes as the men, things will start opening up, because it really is fucking stupid when you see women have to take up another sport just to make ends meet because of how bad the pay disparity is between what the women make and the fighters make, regardless of the allocates or their popularity or whatever it may be.
Agreed.
So I definitely hope to see more and more because like I've always felt that like starting this year we've seen more of a push for them. We've seen them be featured more, getting signed like Michaela Mayer, Clarissa, Katie Taylor, Marlon Esparza. We were there to cover Marlon's pro debut on the undercard of Tapia Quigley, and they deserve this because it's kind of like it's really fucking stupid. It took them getting to actually participate in the Olympics for that fame to finally shoot up. So that's my take on that. And then I find it funny that this Saturday we don't get anything. It's just sandwiched between fights because we got the zone card on Friday plus the Showbox card with Sebastian Fundora, and then on Sunday we get the Charlo fight with his brother fighting the following Saturday. So it's gonna be interesting what the hell I plan to do on my Saturday because I always assumed I was gonna be fighting between both programmings that day, but instead I get a reprieve. So I definitely think that Cancelo is probably gonna pull off the win again. Maybe go the full rounds. I imagine Machado's probably going to be a little bit better in this fight, but I definitely expect there to still be some hindrance in the way that he approaches this fight with Cancelo. And as for the Charlo fight, yeah, you know what? I expect Charlo to do his thing, get the win. But to be honest with you, I would not be surprised if he settles on a UD win because I don't know. Like as I told you before, I feel like they got complacent, like they were believing in their own hype, and they weren't really meeting the expectations that they themselves had been telling everyone that they were capable of. Like, I right now, like it's a shame that he didn't get to fight Tony Harrison because of the injury, and this just sets him back and like proving that what, our last performances were just bad performances. So now we have to settle with this and then just see where everything goes from there. If, they make the rematch again later on or whatnot. And then, the whole steroid and testing and whatnot, it's a ho-hum topic to me at this point just because, like, I've talked to you about this, like, the first time I got on the show with you. And the testing has always been lackadaisical at best. Like, they've had things that they tested for banned substances that don't deserve to be on the list and things that are on the list, they're like not taken seriously depending on the notoriety of some fighters, like it's too much of a double standard. Like I remember when, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I do remember like after Chavez Jr. lost to Sergio Martinez, he tested positive for marijuana. And if I remember correctly, they fined him 3% of his purse, which originally totaled to $900,000.
Yes, I think he had like a year suspension or a year and a half suspension, something like that. Like it was an extreme punishment. Or like Nick Diaz got fined $300,000 and a 5-year suspension that he then had to sue the Nevada State Athletic Commission into changing their punishment. Yeah, good times. Meanwhile, Big Baby Miller through the loophole of not being actually, what's the term, Rob Fu, where he doesn't have a license. He's an unlicensed fighter, so therefore there's no actual jurisdiction by these commissions. He gets a 6-month slap on the wrist by the sanctioning body for EPO, HGH, and all the other bullshit that he took.
Yeah, man. Like I said, the double standard stupid, and like you were reiterating too. Like you have to know the difference between what a person pops for and whether or not it's something that is actually performance enhancing. Because that's the term that you need to really fall on: performance enhancing. Like weed. We all know what it is. Anybody that smoked it, I've smoked it with you already when we did the 420 episode.
That was good.
I can't think of many implications where it would have been beneficial to Chavez to have been high when he fought.
Especially Chavez of all
Sergio
people.
Martinez,
Let's be honest. Chavez needs to be a little bit alert.
And then you've got guys like, Big Baby Miller who tested for 3 very obvious and no way to look around it but intentional usages of actual performance enhancing drugs. Like, context and perspective matter when it comes to like you guys decrying like, you know, oh, this fighter tested 30 for that, but like this or that. It's like no. And like to another point that was like bring that same heat, but at the same time to be consistent in that heat too. Like if a fighter tests positive for like cocaine or marijuana, especially if it's out of competition, they have a problem, sure, but I wouldn't consider it a performance enhancing drug. Whereas if you're taking blood doping, EPO, or whatever, that's an intentional willingness to say, yes, I am using this to enhance my performance.
No, he just had an elbow injury.
That's
no. Sorry, Santi. That I don't know if you've listened to that clip yet or not.
We're gonna post it soon on the channel. But Joe Miller came out with his excuse as to why he popped and how much money it cost him, which was a lot of money.
Yeah. Here's my big problem is he's about to get rewarded with probably a very lucrative top-ranked deal if rumors are correct, because they need somebody for, you know, Tyson Fury to fight. So.
Yeah, no, man, it's the same thing too. Like, I don't know if anybody here like read that article where TJ Dillashaw admitted to not just using but not regretting doing EPO when he fought Henry Cejudo. It's just kind of like, you know, it's really stupid. Like the blatantness that a fighter can choose to have in a competitive sport where our lives are basically wagered, where you could easily incapacitate a man possibly for life, and you're the one who's just trying to, you know, take in the allocates. You know, it's ridiculous. And I don't know what can be done to curb this at this point. Like I've said, the process has been very lackadaisical. You know, the WBC clean boxing program has been whatever. It's been nothing but a name in and of itself. And, you know, until something comes to actually make some kind of difference, you know, I gotta side with Nate Diaz and my buddy when I basically just reiterate his fact. Everybody's on steroids at this point, as far as I'm concerned. You know, and for the people that believe that AJ was on steroids, well, guess what? AJ, if you guys believe he's on steroids, fought another guy who tested positive for steroids. So would you consider that an even match? That's my call. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot. Otherwise, I'm gonna go doze off.
Have a good one, Santi.
Hashtag put Snickers on the VADA list.
Oh my gosh.
But like an opposite peanut allergy. It like fucking done some shit like spinach and Popeye.
How have there not been more Popeye memes with Andy Reid with the Snickers bar? I feel like that's such an obvious, like.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Rob, that was good, man. That's good. I feel like that's such an obvious one that we haven't been thinking of. I blame the weed though.
Stay off the weed.
Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for the show today. Final thoughts time. Robert, go.
Follow me, UK Rob MCR, Instagram and Twitter. Obviously, check out the website, mixedcombatradio.com. Check Matt's article. He tries to come up with a reason as to whether Ruiz can repeat his victory in the rematch, or whether Joshua can win his titles back. But yeah,
I reviewed over 100 fights from boxing history in terms of rematches to see statistically what happened with the A side. Does he get revenge? Does he not? All that fun stuff. Go check it out.
Such a geek.
I am a geek. You know me. I'm a nerd.
I was interested in doing it, and then I thought, I'll mention it to Matt. And fuck, I would no way have looked up that many. I'd have got, yeah, Matt, you do it. But anyway, patreon.com/mixedcombatradio. Help support the show. Or we obviously got the super chat in here. But thanks everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up, share the show, all that good stuff. And I will catch you on the next one.
Fool.
Thanks, Ramen, for the super chat during the show. We appreciate you guys. Appreciate all you listeners, everybody who supports Patreon, and check out our website. We're all very proud of it. Matt's doing a hell of a job with the writing. You can find me at Fugatti MCR on all platforms, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
And I saw something really funny on Twitter. Fu, I'm definitely gonna send it to you right now. This is, even though I hate this presidential candidate, I love this tweet, man. It's hilarious. But anyway,
It's gotta be the one about Biden.
With Cory Booker.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. Anyway, it's like wrestling. Have a great day, great night, wherever you are. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. I am Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. If you don't know where to find any of us, it's our names plus MCR. It's really easy. If you want to know anywhere else in terms of where to find us, podcasting links, video links, social media links, that's all down below in the description. And head over to our new website, mixedcombatradio.com. Like Fu said, we are all extremely proud of it. Go check it out. Have a good one. Peace.
Now you can see the logo.
Shut up.
This is great, man. It really is.
You disrespect boxing, you piece of shit?
Hey, pussy, are you still there?